And we're back, baby! Yeah! You know it!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 90s Guys podcast. My name is Jed.
And I'm Rachel.
And yet again, she is filling in for Brian this week. First off, I want to get this out of the way really quick. Brian usually does this. I forgot, and I almost forgot at the end of the last podcast, too. But please go to YouTube, subscribe. Shoot us an email at the 90s Guys podcast at gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're doing pretty well on Facebook. Thanks a lot in part to Rachel, who has taken over our social media, which has been fantastic. But the other thing is hit up our Patreon. We still need to help grow. We want to get better cameras, all that stuff going. And we really appreciate the patrons we do have. You will get a very special shout out later on. I just got to make the list of all of our Patreons so that I can get that out there and going. And I might even do a shout out, have Rachel do a shout out to all you guys on the Facebook and whatnot, because we really appreciate all that you guys have done for us.
And then you could afford to get better guests than me on here.
We can barely afford you.
It's just true. My rates are high.
Yeah. So
I
was gonna say I'm almost out of beer. So, but anyway, yet again. Like I said last time, I had Rachel pick 3 topics that she wanted to talk about. So last week was Avatar, which if you haven't watched it, that's your problem because you need to. It's on Netflix and everybody has Netflix.
You have no excuse not
no
to.
Excuses,
Everybody's
no.
home because of COVID.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm still essential.
Oh, well.
So I'm never home.
You're essential.
Yeah. So what? I'm essential to Chance, my dog. It's the only thing but he would probably move out and find that different for him. He'd probably go live with you.
Oh,
so
he might. He loves me.
He does love you. But that's nothing like I want to say. Her second choice, which is
Disney, but very specifically what's referred to as the Renaissance period of Disney.
So, we have yet to really talk about Disney because out of the 3 cartoony networks type things that we actually like, I'm a Nickelodeon guy, Brian is a Cartoon Network guy. But I do have to say, in the 90s, if you were going to watch any movie, it was Disney.
Disney was absolutely it in the 90s.
Yeah. So, explain to us what the Renaissance.
Yeah, so the Renaissance, and it's funny too because a lot of times it will be referred to as the golden period, but
I think it's the golden period.
Right, I think it's the golden period because I think it's some of the best movies of all Disney came out in the 90s.
Because I would assume that the older ones that they call the golden whatever would be the silver.
Yeah.
Because usually it's the silver age and whatever is like classic stuff.
And I mean, it was like the original. So like the original golden is like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella. Like
Bambi,
those are part.
stuff like
Yeah,
that,
those are all part of the golden age of Disney.
Which I think that should be the silver age.
It does have a more oldie time sound to it.
So that's why I think golden age should be. Because I really think the reason it should be the golden age too is this is when Disney took off.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they were popular back when Snow White and all that stuff came out, but when these movies came out in the 90s, Disney blew up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So the Renaissance age goes from 1989 to 1999. So it literally encompasses all of the 90s.
Right. Well, I think that was the point.
Yeah. Well, last time we did a 90s Guys podcast on the 2001s.
Yeah. Well, if you read a description in the 90s Guys podcast, it says 90s and early 2000s. Didn't that fall into the early 2000s?
Yeah, it does.
So you shut your whorish mouth.
I do what I want.
So, what is the first movie of this so-called Renaissance age.
So the first movie, and it's funny because when you go to Wikipedia, which is also another funny thing to me that people try to say that you shouldn't trust Wikipedia.
Is it Wicca or Wiki?
Wikipedia.
Okay.
Am I saying it weird?
I don't know. You say Wiki, and I don't,
Wiki.
Most people say Wicca,
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
Well, that's not how it's spelled.
People are stupid.
But they kind of talk about the few movies that led up to. So they had a couple of wins that led up to the Renaissance period. Okay. And one of those is The Great Mouse Detective.
Which was really, really good and
so
underrated.
Good. Yeah.
And that's, I guess.
And that was 1986. So it's not part of the Renaissance, but it was one of where it was like they finally had...
Super underrated movie.
Yeah, they had a super good collaboration on the movie. It did very well. It was something where the idea was presented and a lot of people were like, who wants to watch Sherlock Holmes as a mouse? Like, nobody does, right? But, oh my gosh, I can't even. We could do a whole episode on all of these. And then some other honorable mentions are Roger Rabbit, which was 1988.
I didn't even think about that one. Because I thought that was more of an adult movie.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the last one is American Tail.
My all-time favorite. I had a 5. That was the first stuffed animal I ever had that I can remember was Five-O, and I love that movie. Yeah.
So these were the movies where
I talked about that in the podcast.
These were leading towards like success. They're like, okay, we've finally established a really good thing here. Let's move forward with it. So the very first movie.
You know what is okay? Go ahead and say this one, but I just figured out something.
Oh no! Okay.
Go ahead.
So the very first movie in the Renaissance period, and I feel like now I know where you're going with this, is The Little Mermaid.
Oh no! Okay, never mind.
Okay,
I thought the first one was the Down Under one.
Rescuers
Down Under.
That might be another.
Because we talked about that, but that might have been after Little Mermaid.
Oh no! I think that's actually one of the honorable mentions leading up to.
Okay.
So I think Rescuers Down Under is also another 1988 movie.
But you notice that.
Oh no, it's 1990.
Yeah.
But it's not listed in the.
But you think of the three of the 5 you mentioned, all were about mice.
This is true. I didn't think
Grace
about
Mouse
that.
Detective, Five-O, the American Tail, which he was a mouse,
Yeah.
and now Rescuers Down Under.
I did not think of that.
I just did. It just popped into my head.
That is true. They were really like mouse.
Which I thought, which is understandable with Mickey.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, but I thought you said that because John Candy is in The Rescuers Down Under, which is I love John Candy.
Oh, absolutely.
I miss him so much.
I know.
But he was the best as what was it, Alcatraz?
Yeah, Alcatraz.
Alcatraz, and he was a ride in that movie.
He was so good. Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so Little Mermaid. Go ahead.
Little Mermaid.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Whoa, calm yourself. So fun fact about Little Mermaid. As a child, and you can't it's not too bright. You can't see it on camera, but I really promise I have red hair.
She does have red hair.
And I used to sit like an inch away from the TV and would and like sing.
Did you have a thingamajigger?
I did have. I had a Who's It's a What's It's Galores.
Yeah. Which is funny that I even know that much.
Oh my gosh! So
I only know the bad stuff about Little Mermaid, like the wiener on the cover.
Yes.
and then the
Pope,
the preacher having a boner.
Although I think they tried to dispute it, saying it was actually his knee.
Which it probably was.
It probably was, but they were not thinking. Somebody drew that, and that got approved, and somehow that went through. Right. And then later they're like, oh.
Right. So, yeah, me personally, I was not although I did love the crab or lobster or whatever.
Oh, Sebastian.
Is. Sebastian.
He's great.
But I just was not a fan of. But it was geared towards girls. It clearly was.
Very much.
So.
And as
which is really funny because as we go on through this, there are some geared towards girl movies, and I'm like, that was such a good movie. So.
It was.
So what is the next one then? Because you said Rescuers isn't on there.
Rescuers is 1990.
Okay, but you said it doesn't count in that.
To
me, it does.
According to Wiki, it does.
Oh, okay.
But I think what I was confusing was the original Rescuers was 1988.
Yes.
And then Rescuers Down Under
yeah.
was in 1990.
Yes.
So Rescuers Down Under falls under the Renaissance period, so that one is included. And then
May you rest in peace, John Candy.
I know I can't. And then Beauty and the Beast,
which is by far my favorite Disney movie of all time.
Beauty and the Beast.
I love that movie.
Do you like?
Absolutely love it.
Do you have like a little bell dress?
Yes. No. I loved Cogsworth and Lumiere.
We've discussed this before. So my favorite TV show on the face of the planet is MASH.
Yes.
And the guy who plays Charles Winchester
is
the voice of Cogsworth.
Yes. So, but that is, especially, call me whatever, but for some reason, the art in that, the story in that, and then just the comedy in that. I mean, and even the music. The musical numbers in that movie were probably some of my favorite
they're so
musical
good.
Numbers.
And really, this is what kind of like kicks off this whole idea of the Disney princess franchise, because we already had Snow White and we already had Cinderella
Sleeping Beauty.
And I think that's it. I think those are the only
I think that was it. I don't remember.
The only 3 princesses we had. But it wasn't a franchise. And then we introduced Princess Ariel in 1989 with The Little Mermaid.
And Belle, who was not a princess, but became one.
Correct.
I guess.
And that's a
wouldn't she
whole
become a
other thing.
queen?
Because
she wasn't a princess.
She wasn't. She marries Prince Adam, which is very interesting.
Okay, then she would become a princess.
She does become a princess, but like Prince Adam doesn't have parents, so I was like, doesn't that make you king? Isn't that how hierarchies work?
We're thinking way too much. We're thinking as adult-minded people.
But it really did. So it kicks off the Disney Princess franchise.
It really does,
1000%.
and it was fantastic. And then, of course, the next one, which is my second favorite.
So the next 2 categories is between 1992 and 94, which is Aladdin and the Lion King.
I love Aladdin.
Aladdin is so
That
good.
is another one. And then Robin Williams, another man, may he rest in peace, which we have done a podcast on him about mental health because of how he went. I literally, for 2.5 years, watched that movie every night to fall asleep, and I was in my mid to late 20s.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just loved the genie. And I loved Aladdin himself because I liked the actor that played him, which I thought was hilarious. He was on Full House as DJ's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And in one of the episodes, he's dressed up as Aladdin. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Because as a kid, I'm like, that's the voice of Aladdin, and he's dressed up as Aladdin. That's funny.
Yeah, because DJ thinks that she sees him at
everywhere.
Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland.
Yeah, and she's like, Steve?
Yeah.
So the other funny thing to that too is like that became one of every like family has their really funny quotes that they say, and my mom would get so mad. Mom, I'm sorry. If we woke her up from a nap for something stupid, and be like, I can't reach the potato chips, Mom, and she'd be like, you woke me up for this, and she would be like, did you rub my lamp? Did you wake me up? Did you bring me here? And so that just
now you're walking out on me. I don't think so.
Yeah, right. Because we'd be like, never mind, we don't want any chips, and she'd be like, no, you're getting your chips, so sit down.
Yeah.
So,
but that yet again, that's another princess with Princess Jasmine. Now the next one was Lion King, which was phenomenal.
So good.
Which when I was a kid, that was actually my favorite movie.
That was the first movie I ever went to in theaters.
Aladdin was the first. Well, no, that wasn't the first movie. That was the first movie I remember going to in the theaters was Aladdin. We did go see Garbage Pail Kids when I was really little. Because my brothers wanted to see it and my dad took us.
That's funny.
But I remember Lion King was around my birthday, and that's one of the reasons we went and saw it. But I love that one. And that in theaters was amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
And a great cast. I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who was big on Home Improvement, which is one of my favorite TV shows.
He was really big all over the place, too.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he also was in the live-action Pinocchio that they did.
He was in Huck and Finn.
Yeah.
I mean, he was everywhere in the
He was every
mid to
girl's
late 90s.
heartthrob in the
He
90s.
was, yeah. I was just saying, you had like pit posters all over the place.
Oh,
you still have
absolutely.
posters.
Whoa. Let me talk about my posters.
Yeah, so anyway, but you got James Earl Jones as Mufasa.
Jones.
Darth Vader himself playing another dad.
The king of the jungle.
Yeah. Which is weird because he wasn't even in the jungle.
No.
And then you have Jeremy Irons as Scar, who was awesome. His voice was perfect.
So perfect.
And then you got Whoopi Goldberg and
Matthew Broderick.
well, no, Cheech Romero, and then Ed,
yeah.
the guy, as the 3 stupid but
Yeah.
hilarious hyenas,
They're
and
so
then
good.
Matthew Broderick as adult Simba.
Yep.
So that was a great cast, and then even the guy who did Rafiki, like I always forgot what his name is, but you see his face, and he's in everything.
Well, and this was one of the first. So Tim Rice, I'm super into like composing and stuff. Tim Rice came in, and this was with Elton John to do.
Oh yeah, that was another one. Music was phenomenal.
And so I think this was like one of the first movies where they're like, we're gonna bring in a major person for this film. They brought in Elton John to do the music for it. So he does the opener, Circle of Life, and then Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Yeah, and I think that soundtrack was one of the most popular soundtracks of the 90s. I think it sold really, really well.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Elton John still to this day is one of my favorite.
He's so good.
Yeah. Anyway, so next would be...
Well, so I'm going to input one of my own honorable mentions in here. It's happening. Because it's like, it bothers me that it's not listed, but I get that it is. But in 1993, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I get why
it's not, because it's a cult classic.
It is.
It's a completely different thing. That's why it's not in there. I actually liked it when it came out. Mm-hmm. But I liked the creepy stuff. Like I loved and I hated the what was the TV show with the skeleton guy?
Oh,
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt.
Loved and hated it because it scared the crap out of me, but I could not help but watch it.
I think that was me. Like, Real Scary Stories would come on, and I can't remember the channel that it used to come on, but I loved Real Scary Stories.
Like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? I absolutely love. Goosebumps, I absolutely love. I loved all that stuff. And I still do to this day. I love being scared, but at the same time, I hate it.
No, that's exactly how I am. Like,
I
was such a scaredy cat as a child.
Oh, yeah, I was too.
But I loved all of these scary things. Yeah. But I fell
out of it because of the fact it's become such a cult classic, and everybody's got tattoos of it. And it's just like, come on, guys, it's overdone now.
It really kind of bothered me when it came back the way that it did, because not to be like hipster with it, but I was like, I liked it back in 1993.
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah, I was the same.
And like my mom thought it was so weird. I would watch it year round, and I'd be like, oh, I want to watch Nightmare Before Christmas tonight, and my mom would be like, it's July, and I'd be like, so
Christmas in July.
Yeah, so it's like I would watch it year round.
Duh.
But okay, so ignoring my honorable mention. So then we go into 1995 to 1997, and there's 3 movies in this category. It's Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Hercules.
So this was the one that I was mentioning, movies that were geared towards girls, but I absolutely loved. Which I guess Beauty and the Beast kind of was, but Pocahontas, I absolutely loved Pocahontas, and I've been big into Native American culture and all that stuff anyway, which I know this is not the true story of John Smith and Pocahontas.
No,
none of it
not.
is true.
They tried to do the real story, and we won't even talk about Pocahontas 2. That was awful.
Yeah. So, but I absolutely loved it. I loved the raccoon and the hummingbird. I thought the dog's name was Percy, right?
The dog's name was Percy,
okay,
and then the raccoon is Miko.
Miko, okay.
And then Flick, okay.
But the raccoon was obsessed with messing with the dog. And that's another thing that Disney does right, is side characters.
Yeah.
That have really nothing to do with the story, but are fantastic.
Oh my gosh. And I totally relate to it. Like I was very obsessed with Native American culture growing up. I have a grandmother who is very, very well into Native American societies and things like that. She's not Native American, but she's been welcomed into tribes and into powwows and things like that. And she's a Native American storyteller. And she is my hero, Grandma, if you're listening. And she was like what got me into Native American culture. And then Pocahontas happened, and it just solidified it for me.
Right.
It quickly became one of my favorites.
So, no, that was and that was another one. The music was really, really good.
Music's spot on.
The Colors of the Wind. I absolutely love that song still to this day.
I will definitely play it in my car and play it every once in a while.
So, and then the next one was Hunchback of Notre Dame, which you and we talked about this earlier this week, and we differ on this.
Yeah, we differ on this.
But mine is because of how I was raised. I liked Hunchback of Notre Dame, but the main protagonist, villain, whatever you want to call him, scared the crap out of me.
Frollo was frightening.
But we talked about this. He played that part perfect. They created that part perfect because that's exactly how he would have been in the time that this movie portrayed it. But it just scared the crap out of me when he's singing a song and all the demons or whatever are flying around and all that stuff. I was like, I do have to say I love the gargoyles.
The gargoyles.
Jason Alexander as the short, fat gargoyle was a fantastic choice.
I wish they were in it more, actually.
I do, too.
I feel like they
That's
don't
the
get enough
thing.
face time.
And I loved Quasimodo. I just was not the biggest fan of Esmeralda or the knight or whatever he was.
Yeah. I think my thing with it, and I love the storyline and everything like that, and they try to kind of like recoup it and when they make the second one, because again, it's something where everyone's like, this isn't how it should happen, and so Disney tries to cater to it in these second movies, and it's like, just stop, you were so good. But I did also hate the idea that they continued to push that there was this relationship between Quasimodo and Esmeralda that wasn't there.
Right.
And I just feel like it was probably very awkward to watch for audience members, where it's like you've got friends pushing Quasimodo, like, you should absolutely 1000% try to date her. She's 100% into you. And then it's like, well, no, she's actually into this other guy.
The John Smith-esque character.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
John Smith with a goatee.
Yeah, for the most part, yes. But going back to what you just said with the second movie is not doing them, I agree with that. There's only one that I can think of that the original movie came out in this time period. They made a second one and it bombed. Mm-hmm. But the third one was really good.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And that is Timon and Pumbaa, The Lion King 1.5.
We disagree on this.
Was so good.
So I loved 1.5. I thought 1.5 was really fun, but I actually adored Simba's Pride.
See, I never saw it, so I don't know.
I loved it.
Everybody that talks is like, it's just them trying to do like the typical, Pocahontas to Hunchback of Notre Dame to, it's just kind of whatever. But they waited and they got the original people to do the voices and all that stuff. Which the other one that was decent, because Return of Jafar was horrible,
garbage.
But they brought Robin Williams back to do the King of Thieves.
King of Thieves was so good.
It was good. Like,
and
that's
Aladdin's
what I'm saying.
dad, like, they did such a good job with that.
So it's they do horrible with the second movie, but if they do a third one, it's usually pretty good.
It's pretty spot on.
So anyway, and then the last one in that was
Hercules,
which still one of my all-time favorite Disney movies.
Absolutely, it's so
the
good.
story is fantastic.
And I love Greek mythology.
I was just gonna say the same
much.
thing. I'm a huge history buff.
Yeah.
Period. But Greek mythology is one of my favorites. All the crazy. The funny thing is, I know it's nothing like Greek mythology really was, but you can't do that in a Disney movie because you can't show Zeus going down and banging random people and all this stuff.
Right, they gotta show him as a wholesome.
Yeah,
the wholesome dad.
Nice and all snuggled up to his wife.
His one wife.
His one wife.
Hera.
Yeah. So, but that was another one that just everything about it was great. I loved Danny DeVito as Phil. Mm-hmm. I loved Megara. Megara was very attractive.
Megara is actually my dad's favorite Disney princess.
Yeah.
She's not a Disney princess, but she's my dad's favorite.
But technically she would be, because she's with Hercules. And he's a god, demigod, and he chooses to stay on Earth, so that would make him probably royalty over.
I mean, maybe. Doesn't he, give up his godship?
Yes, but that doesn't mean that he's a demi. That still means he's a demigod.
I also have a theory about why he loses his strength when he makes the deal with Hades. If you watch the movie, he shakes with his left hand. So I think that's why, because that's not right. You don't shake with your left hand.
No, you don't.
And I'm sure
but that's the other one that's the side characters, Pain and Panic. Mm-hmm. I love those two guys. They were hilarious.
They're so
He's drinking the Hercules sippy cup, and he's wearing the Hercules sandals.
Do you remember when you could get those cups at Burger King? Oh my gosh, I've looked for them. I can't find them.
So that was Hercules is amazing. What was we're getting close to the end there.
We are. So we're getting into 1998 and 1999 with Mulan and Tarzan.
Mulan was another one that was geared towards women. Although I don't necessarily think so. Because she was a badass.
She was a super badass.
And I'm super excited about the live action one, and they keep pushing it back.
I was so upset. I was so ready.
To watch it, right?
Yeah, I was so ready to go to
the only thing that is going to upset me about it is they're not going to have Mushu, and they're not going to have the cricket.
And it's not a musical, so they're not going to have...
I don't care about it not being a musical. No. Because story-wise, as long as it's six... don't get me wrong, one of the best parts of that whole movie is the song where all the guys are singing and as they're marching. Yeah. But I loved the back and forth between Mushu and the cricket.
Yeah.
And some of the one-liners that
Oh my gosh,
Eddie Murphy had.
Murphy
Right,
as
yeah.
Mushu was so good.
So that one, and then on top of that, Mulan just being an ass-kicking chick. I mean, you want to talk about a female independence and just strength and whatever. Oh,
and
my
I
goodness.
think from like a female perspective, it was so nice to have that female representation of like a badass girl who just goes in and kicks ass, and she was like, I'm gonna do what I have to do.
The other thing about it is based on the Chinese culture and how much martial arts, it's believable that she could be that much of an ass kicker.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look at Lucy Liu. I mean, she's awesome.
Well, and the fun thing about Mulan is it is based on a real legend.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's based on a real story, real legend.
And talk about somebody who cared so much about her dad,
her family,
and all that stuff. And yeah, she knew it might bring disrespect, but she didn't want to lose her father. So because she knew he wouldn't make it back because he was weak and old and all that stuff. So, which I don't know how true that part is to the story. I don't know how old her father was and if he really was injured. But of course, they did that for Disney. But just a badass chick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Mulan is one of my favorites of all. And I say that, but it's like every movie. That
and then it's the same argument I
favorites.
have with my niece who's super super smart. I always call it Mulan.
Mulan.
Just to piss her off. She's like, it's Mulan, Uncle Jed. I'm like, how do you spell it? And she's like, and I was like, yeah, A-N is and, not on.
Not on.
And she's like, but it's different. I'm like, how's it spelled?
You just keep going in circles.
So.
Oh gosh, that was excellent. And then Tarzan.
Tarzan.
The other one.
Yes. Yet another one that they do well with the animals. I mean, you got the...
How old were you when you figured out Turk was a girl?
Oh, I knew right away.
Oh my gosh, I did not. Like, it was like years later when I was like, because I noticed that, oh my gosh, what's the elephant's name?
I don't.
You think I should know because elephants are my favorite, but, so, he says like Little Missy to her, and it's just like, it never like registered with me. And like years later, I was like, Turk was a girl?
You had no idea that Turk was a girl?
I had no idea Turk was a girl. I mean, it definitely like had like a girl because it's Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell, yeah. I always knew Turk was a.
I think it was just like one of those like, really, Bubba.
What are you sad about?
Crying.
Oh, stop it! We're talking. Go on, go to bed.
But
I need to go potty. I'll take you out when we're done with this episode. Go lay down.
Yeah, I had no idea Turk was.
Go lay down. Really?
Yeah. And I don't know why. I think it was.
At first, I thought you were talking about the elephant, like she was a girl. I'm like, no, it was a little boy. Because even when he got older, the actor was the guy from Jurassic Park that tries to steal the stuff from whatever. He played Newman on Seinfeld. That was the voice of the elephant.
My favorite of that movie is when he's like, "But what about bacteria?"
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They did Disney does a great job when it comes to animals, and being the comic relief.
Yeah.
Like they really do, and it's fantastic. That's the one thing I can't say because it goes to the newer movies. Look at Frozen.
Yep.
You got Sven, the reindeer.
Oh my gosh, I love that Christoph does the voice for
right,
him.
that's what I'm saying.
I'm not even like a huge fan of Frozen. Like I get it.
No, he's my favorite character. Him and Olaf are my two favorite characters.
Oh my gosh, they're
and
so
then
funny.
Tangled. You got the horse, Magnus, or whatever his name is. Maximus. And he's freaking right. He's acting like a dog.
My favorite part of
They do a fantastic job with animals as comic relief.
When Rapunzel scratches his belly and was like, nobody appreciates you, do they? Like, I do that to my dog all the time. And she huffs like nobody appreciates her in my household, as if I don't absolutely worship the ground that she walks on.
Right, yeah. So...
that brings us to the end. That's the end. Tarzan tops it off. Of the end of the Renaissance period,
which was pretty much the best time for Disney. Period.
Oh, yeah.
They're hit or miss now. I mean, there's some great ones that they've come out with. Like I said, Tangled was really, really good.
Tangled was good.
Frozen was great until it just got overplayed, and it just I can't watch it anymore now.
Yeah.
The only other one that I can say, and this goes to, and how I know that she's a redhead and whatnot, is one of my all-time favorites, and it goes to another kick-ass girl princess movie, is Brave.
Brave is so
very underrated. Very, very underrated. But I absolutely love that movie, and that was one of the newer ones. But, I mean, she was Scottish. Mm-hmm. I dig that accent.
Oh, yeah.
She's got red curly hair.
And you know what I liked, too, is they didn't make her look like the typical pretty princess. I love that they gave her that round face and those like kind of like chubby cheeks and her eyebrows, and her hair's just a mess. Like,
yeah.
And I think they said if they straightened her hair, it would be 4 foot long.
That's awesome.
I want to get there someday.
So, but yeah, I don't look forward to as many Disney movies coming out as I did during that time period. Yeah. And even after that time period, because those movies were so good, I looked forward to Disney movies coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, even some of the lesser popular ones are still, and Represent Your Shirt, you got them now. A Goofy movie, which came out around that time, in that time period.
1997 was a Goofy movie. And I really thought for sure it would have been on that list.
One of my all-time favorite Disney movies of all time. That whole thing with, I like the Pauly Shore character, that it was obsessed with cheese. The fact that Bigfoot shows up in it, and you know me, my nickname's the Sasquatch, so anytime that I'm on there, I gotta give some love.
And it's just such a good father-son tale, and it's just a feel-good movie, and the music is good. When they go to was it like Possum Pete's or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I
can't remember what the name of it is, but it's like, who's your favorite possum?
So, and it's just that aspect of it is so sweet, because it's a dad that doesn't want his son to grow up as fast as the son wants to grow up.
Yeah, which I think we all relate to.
I don't know how many times my dad told me, "Don't grow up, Jed. Be a kid as long as you can."
Yeah,
and being 34 and still somewhat of a big kid, which I will never let that. A certain part of me will never let.
What's the phrase? You can grow old, just don't grow up.
Yeah. So so I've kind of taken that into consideration. I think that's part of the reason that adulting is so hard, though. Because I'm a big kid in a adult world, is what it is.
And I feel like we all had that, because I remember being a kid, and it was like, for whatever reason, like 16 for girls is like the pinnacle age. And I just remember being like, man, I can't wait till I'm 16. And then I was 16. I was like, I can't wait till I'm 18. And then I was 18. And then I was like, cool. Now I'm here.
As you said, I hit 18. I was like, damn it. Now what?
Right. And then I think I hit 25, and I started getting over that. And I started getting closer to 30. And I was like, no, wait, youth. Like, youth was fleeting at that point. I was like,
youth has been long gone for me.
Oh, God.
I'm old and fat.
I start making sounds when I stand up now. I thought delaying my birthday would...
I sit on my balls occasionally.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, yours are still uptight. So
oh, okay.
They'll sag a little bit here.
Yeah, once I actually crest 30.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, when I turned 33, I sat down. I was like, oh God, they're hanging a little bit lower than they used to.
Oh my gosh.
So, but
getting old is no fun. Which is why Disney movies are so important. They really
I think all of this is important.
Yeah.
Everything that we do on this podcast, talking about cartoons, talking about even just the regular TV shows. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you have to be an adult, but you don't have to grow up. And I think that's part of Disney. Mm-hmm. I think that's one thing I will give Disney credit for is legit, you can still be a kid for an hour to 2 hours by watching, no matter how old you are.
Oh, yeah.
So, because watching Lion King takes you back to when that movie came out. Mm-hmm. I remember even talking about Hunchback, because I saw that in the theaters. I saw it on one of my friends' birthdays. I remember exactly what we did. Lion King, it was around my birthday when I went and saw it. Aladdin, I don't think it was around my birthday, but I remember seeing it. It's just one of those things. It takes you back. It's like a smell. You can take a smell. You smell something, it takes you back to something when you were a child. That's kind of like the same thing.
I was already thinking about the smells. And if I say this, you're instantly going to know the smell. A summertime water hose.
Yes.
Yes, instantly. It's a smell.
Or even the taste. Yeah. As I say, taste of water out of
hose.
Do kids do that anymore? Do you know what water? Do your kids, the people that listen to this, that have children, do they know what drinking out of a hose tastes like? Because middle of summer.
It's so important. You have to know.
Parents lock you outside all day. You got to drink from the holes. That first whatever, once you let it run out, so that little bit of hot that's in there gets out. See, because it burned. Yeah. But that ice cold water, which you're wondering how it's ice cold, hitting your lips, and it's got like a nickely taste to it.
It does. It does have a very nickely taste. Oh gosh,
it was so good.
And you can't. And like the other weird smell that I have is my. And it's very interesting. My parents bought a Cabbage Patch doll for my brother, and he didn't play with it. It was just, his name was Joshy, and I still remember that plasticky smell of the Cabbage Patch head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother had My Buddy and Me doll. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I thought was Chucky.
Yeah.
Because he made me watch that movie with him. Actually, he didn't make me watch it. The neighbors across the street. They wanted to. He goes, "You want to watch this cool movie about this doll?" And so me and my brother went over there.
Yeah.
Let's go do it. It turned out to be. I was 5 years old, and my brother had a My Buddy and Me doll that looked just like Chucky. Of course, I was watching that thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a redhead. Can't be trusted.
Right. No, they can't.
No.
Trust me. I know.
They will murder everybody.
I know.
We'll break this bottle and, and shank you. LOL.
Anyway, well, we're going to wrap that up. We hope that you enjoyed that. And you know what? If you listen to this, head to our Facebook and just, maybe I'll have Rachel send out a thing. What was your favorite Renaissance age movie? Which should be called Golden Age, but that's just my opinion.
Golden Renaissance age.
Yeah, there you go. Golden nonsense age, yes. So, but let us know. We want to know. We want to know.
We do.
Okay.
We need to know.
Yeah. So, as always, my name is Jed, and this is
Rachel.
Filling in for Brian. We are the 90s guys. And yes, she does have balls, y'all. Wow. They're just on her chesticles.
That's it.
So,
that's where I hide them.
But we will see you next time.
Bye.